Heck, how am I supposed to know? Now it doesn't seem like my live stream is coming through, but it probably is. I just don't see it. So if you're out there, say hi. Let's see, we're testing the sound. Say hi. Okay, there it goes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. Searching the news for marketing stuff and bringing it to you every day. Well, let's get over and have some fun. Here we go. This was a takeoff on the Midas theme. And if you remember the legend of Midas, everything he touched turned to gold, including on here. But there's a catch. There goes the cell phone. So much for that. Be very careful. Got a package. Gets so heavy. Let somebody else open your mail. Oh, look at that. Hot, cold. It also has voice control somehow. Just to match. And yes, available in gold. How about that? That's so good. So anyway, it's funny though, because going over to the PDF, they said everything King Midas touches doesn't turn to gold, but in this video it sure does. I think they meant that he didn't have to touch this, but if he did, when he did touch it, it did turn to gold. So Les got that wrong. Anyway, but you don't have to touch the faucet, and their target audience is millennial homeowners. And part of the reason I put this up is because I think Moen does a great job. I have just simple utility sink faucets. I put Delta in my house when I built it, but then I switched that one. So many of the Deltas don't work, and every time I switch them, I try to get to a Moen because they just are good. And my kitchen sink, I had a Moen and it got so it couldn't move around right, and I called them up and they sent me just a whole pile of parts and told me how to fix it. So I did, and that wasn't too bad. So it was supposed to be visually arresting. It's the first ever totally touchless smart faucet. And it allows users to control the temperature and the quantity of water needed through voice activation. And of course, I'm just thinking, if the power goes out, you won't be able to get any water out of any of these faucets. But, the pumps won't work either. And in other news, sink-related, Whirlpool bought 84-year-old InSinkErator, the world's largest manufacturer of food waste disposers and instant hot water dispensers. So there you go. Now you got some real news. This is from my friend Ray Schultz, and I really don't understand it. It says marketers are being more careful, and I thought, well, maybe they won't pitch every latest social issue and offend me with whichever side they're on. Sometimes just give me the good product, But it says they're tamping down their language to avoid appearing tone deaf to the issues faced by consumers. And I don't know what the issues are. I read somewhere that climate change was like number 30th or something of concerns of consumers, and yet so many things you see mention that they'll help you face. I don't know. So I don't know what. There was no real illustration. It said of the marketers polled, 92% said they're playing it safe with their language. It could be the level of language. 79% are concerned about using relevant and appropriate branded messages, and 64% fear their message may be understood or fall flat. And so maybe they're writing at too high a level, or maybe they're writing too elliptically, which to illustrate, I added ellipses. And Ray in this article has almost every sentence he makes into a paragraph and starts with a preposition, a conjunction, or a subordinate phrase. And I think we could take those all out, Ray. Correct me if I'm wrong, but looks like we could make it. One of the first things I learned when I was writing copy, I had a master's in philosophy, and in philosophy, one never expresses their true beliefs in the initial phrase of the sentence. You always qualify and qualify and qualify and then say what you really mean, which is the opposite of good copy. Good copy, you want to get to the point, as Craig Huey mentioned just the other day. And so, but Ray's a journalist, and so maybe that's the reason. Anyway, Ray, would love to hear from you. I quote you a lot, and we haven't talked in a while, so give me a call or reach out on LinkedIn. I'll send you a message. Bye-bye. There we go. Okay, how restaurants can use direct mail to boost visits, and this was from restaurantdive.com. I don't know. Anyway, never used that magazine before, but here we go. And it seems to be done by staff writers. Restaurants continue to reel from supply chain issues, talent shortages, and rising operating costs. In response, many have raised menu prices to help the short-term sales, but increased prices have negatively impacted demand. Sometimes I wonder, because it seems like, for our 40th anniversary this past week, I said, rather than go out and be disappointed in the way they make the steaks, I'd rather make them myself, get the best ribeyes we can get, and I'll cook them, and we'll get some really good wine and have a couple friends over, and that's what we did. And, it might have been a couple of $100, but it wasn't any more than going out, even if we split the tab. So consumers are cooking at home more often. We've always kind of done that a lot, We used to go on Tuesday nights. We used to go out to the Hardee's. They had a clown. They had kid night. But, other than something like that. So there's an initial reaction to cut advertising to help save money. But then they get into the direct mail, reasons for direct mail, that restaurants should use direct mail. And from my perspective, one of the best reasons is to target locally. There's only so far I'm going to drive for a pizza or whatever. There's only so far that pizza places will deliver to me. And we used to always, Domino's, they used to have that half an hour or 20-minute delivery or whatever it was. And we used to say to them, you won't find our house in time. Why don't we tell you how to find it? Oh, we can find it. We got more free pizzas. It was so funny. And they'd get new drivers all the time. So that even though one would know, then the next one wouldn't know. And that was great. So anyway, 72% of millennials, Veracast March 22 Awareness to Action Study found 72% of millennials regularly look at ads they receive in the mail. Now, it was 74% for digital ads, which I don't believe for a second. But anyway, 53% of consumers say direct mail influences them to visit a restaurant. That's from that same study, which I think I signed up to download, but I didn't get it right away. Average response rates for a quick service restaurant, QSR, direct mail ads are on 10 to 12% from Veracast. That sounds way too high for me. And when I downloaded the study, it was actually from Velasas. So I think that Veracast awareness study is done by Velasas, which is kind of a co-op, as far as I know. It's a co-op, where you can get an insert and it markets to a town and you can buy that. Now, I took issue with this. It said that when you combined digital and direct mail, that you got a 40% response. And a 40%? 40%? I said, what? That can't be. That just can't be. And so I looked up the study. I clicked on this, and it took me to a UPS sort of a compilation of miscellaneous facts. And in there, they mentioned 40% conversion rate with a footnote. And so I went, all this extra work, to an article by Al Urbanski. Seems like a nice guy, got a good smile. Will programmatic direct mail be the new growth channel? And this is from 2016. There we go, 2016. And he talks about Louis Gersh. And Louis founded stuff like Indiegogo, which I used to promote my honeybee hives. But he also is the CEO of Pebble Post. And in 2016, it had only launched less than a year before, and Lewis said programmatic was sweeping through display, but it was getting overdone and efficacy was falling. Pebble Post was born out of that. Everybody looked at anything but direct mail as a solution. But direct mail is second only to TV in marketing expenditures, and no new products have come out in direct mail for 25 years, which is blatantly false, I mean, it's just completely wrong. But he wasn't a direct mailer, so how would he know? I mean, when we did machine learning, and we've been doing it for more than 25 years now, almost 30 years. That was, as far as I know, that was one of the few places, if maybe the only place, it was actually working in the world, and that was in direct mail. So Pebble Post, here's the interesting part. Here's where this data comes from. Pebble Post launched last June on a promise of 8% response rates and 15% conversion rates. So what I think they're talking about is maybe this is buyers and this is clickers, conversion. I've always conflated those two, thought they were about the same. But, in a lead generation campaign, yeah, you might get leads versus orders. Okay, but after its first 5, not 100, not 500, but 5 customers posted rates closer to 20 to 40%. He knew he was onto something, but it doesn't give any, we don't know. They might have mailed out 100 pieces, and it could have been a cart abandonment or something, which has a really high, conversion. But anyway, so and then it says we built the first ever connected digital with direct mail. But since then, you can get these a lot of places, and Market Builders down in Phoenix has a really, really well integrated system, and Steve Falk up in Canada also does this sort of thing. Brian Dillette at LS Direct, and all of those guys are from the mailing industry. They appreciate who owns the name and can we suppress subsequent clicks, and Brian. We have an interview coming up with Brian that we recorded already. And he has some great insights, which I think it's going to air next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday. He's got some great insights into tweaks on how you manage this. But what was interesting was that Natasha Mehta said they started sending it to their unsubscribe list. Excellent. I haven't seen that very often. And, if you send an email to your unsubscribe list, you can get in trouble. Can-Spam Act. But if you send a postcard, that's exempt. So it says they've come back to the website, or it's been groundbreaking. We didn't have a way to engage with them. Excellent. And as a printer in Canada told me, they'll never limit mail because the government makes money with it, which could be true. Excellent point. Conversion rates via Pebble Post have been running 6 times higher than those box sees from emails, which could be true. But it is, if an email costs you 6 cents and a postcard costs you 66 cents, that's 11 times higher. So but at the same time, it's always good to reactivate a customer. So the thing that bothered me was when David Cooperstein in this article said that their responses go into an address cloud, and as their program catches on, programmatic mail will shed its reliance on first-party data, and users will be able to mail unknown website users without taking ownership of their names and addresses. So Pebble Post, their whole idea is to rent the names. Now, I don't know if this, I've never used Pebble Post, so I can't say. I can remember that I didn't use them because of something like this issue. they say, we'll have ownership of the addresses and won't give it to the client. It's like when someone does a search and clicks on a link for an item. The retailer doesn't know who it is, but Google might know. And so there's some issues here with how PebblePost uses their system and whether or not, I mean, it seems to me that once they buy from me, then I do have the rights to use that. But anyway, it's a little problematic, and PebblePost, as far as I know, is still around. So I'll reach out to them and see if they can tell me more about them. But anyway, mail is powerful, and if you have a restaurant, it's something you definitely should consider. The article goes on to say that restaurants get an ROI of $5.62 on average. Is that per dollar? That would be 562% return on investment. Is that return on ad sales, or is that EBITDA? You never know. These articles they just pull numbers from here and there and hither and yon. But anyway, still good to remember. I haven't worked with many restaurants, but I do get offers and I do look at them. So have a great day. Oh, don't forget to go over and register. I'm thinking that I might shave my beard. I should have put this at the beginning of the show. I think I might shave my beard if we get 20 or more registrations. We got our first one today, and we sent out an email. So look in your email, and if you're worried that we're going to email you to death, we only email when we have something to say, which I know is rare. But we have this webinar, and I'm going to be sharing some of the breakthrough insights and how I got to the insights. And in my previous edition of my book, I only talked about the modeling successes, which is only about a half, maybe not even half, of some of the great successes that we've had. And so this is going to be more about the process and how I go about looking at a company and why we've been able to expand and explode their growth and dramatically change their valuation. And I've had 7 or 8 of them sell their company or go public almost instantly after we grew them like crazy and they hadn't grown in years and they got out of the thing. So it's, I think it'll challenge you. I'd like to get enough people live that we have some actual interaction like we do. It's $20 if you're a non-member, which is a heck of a deal. I mean, the conference I just signed up for was $1,100. So anyway, so 20 signups, and we'll shave my beard. Go over to WDMA.org for all the details. It's a week from today. And I did the promotion almost 100% myself without the style consultant. So if all the links are bad, just go